Peace, chiefs, and deers. It's Bronzebird here with another video. Before I begin, like and subscribe. Thank you. So today's video is going to be about a recent news article that I picked up on from a school that I actually personally know that is in New York City, which is called the Dalton School, which is located pretty much on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And it's more or less more of one of those private schools that, rich kids will get into, more privileged kids. And of course, right now, because what New York City is trying to do, they're trying to knock down the segregation in the school system. So they're trying to have all these calls for diversity and allow more or less more so-called Black students inside the classrooms and be able to get along with the other nations of kids, which is primarily a majority of so-called white kids. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video that I wanted to make today is the conversations about the birds and bees talk. Now, I've been seeing since for the last couple of years, the conversation about sex has been a topic of conversation they've been trying to give to kids in order for them to understand about their genitalia, what it's like to have different orientations, and all of this more or less smoking mirrors of liberalism crap that they're trying to put across children. Now, a lot of people may disagree with the statement, the sentiment, and things like people like myself would usually say when it comes to these topics of conversation, that I believe that there is an appropriate time in which you teach children about their genitalia and what it's really used for. I mean, when they're age of 4 and 5, there's different stages within a kid's life where they get exposed to the idea of sex, the idea of attraction, the idea of wanting to know what the opposite gender is like, and all these different things. Now, this is where the gripe and the sensitivity of conversation comes in. We get into this conversation of whether kids could be born gay, whether kids could be born straight, or they could be born not knowing what gender they really are, and all these different things. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to talk about that. I just really wanted to make it a stake in the game to say that these conversations about genitalia and all these different things at the tender age of maybe 5 and 6, can't really call it for what it is, but I do think some of it is very inappropriate, especially the video I'm about to show you, which caused a lot of outrage amongst parents and amongst the media or amongst conservative people who felt some type of way about children learning about something as basic as masturbation. So I'm going to show you a video, this video that I'm talking about, and I'm going to give my commentary along the way and then show you an article. So peep. Here's the video, so peep.
Hey, how come my penis gets big sometimes and points up in the air?
That's called an erection.
Sometimes I touch my penis because it feels good.
Sometimes when I'm at
First of all, that sounds like a girl's voice, not a boy's voice.
my bath or when mom puts me to bed, I like to touch my vulva too. You have a clitoris there, Kayla, that probably feels good to touch the same way Keith's penis feels good when he touches it. But have you ever noticed that older kids and grown-ups don't touch their private parts in public?
They don't?
That's right, Keith. It's okay to touch yourself and see how different body parts feel, but it's best to only do it in private.
Well, if private parts are so special, why do you cover them up?
Because they are private, silly. That's right, Kayla, because they are private.
So that's supposed to be funny because it's not. You understand? So that was the video that was causing a lot of attention and a lot of ruckus to what was going on in the whole entire thing. And, this was geared towards first graders. And my thoughts is pretty simple on that type of idea about them showing the sexual aspect or education to these children, especially when it comes to first graders. Now, my belief, in which I'm going to do a better job of actually creating more of a thesis out of this, because this isn't the first time that they've been trying to get children to understand the idea of masturbation. There's been a video that came out years ago, which I'll try to find and make a video about, where they even had parents talk to their children about masturbation. Now, my thing about it is, yes, it comes to a child's life where they're going to want to explore their bodies. They're going to want to know what it's like. you know, feeling on their genitalia or understanding why they feel so hot and bothered by these different things. Very uncomfortable conversation that is, but it's in my opinion, first of all, it shouldn't be taught automatically by teachers first. It should be taught by parents. Now, the thing about it is when it's taught by parents, it should be taught by parents at a certain age. Now, they may ask certain questions to children. The children may ask their parents certain questions to try to understand what is it about. Why does my genitalia feel this way? And why does my genitalia feel that way? I understand that. But I disagree with the public school system or the school system in general creating all these sex ed classes for children depending on what grade it is. They should not even be shown that. Now, if they was in the 7th and 8th grade, I could give them that because they're at that age where they're starting to understand what life is really about, okay? But the first grader aspect, no, I disagree with that. They shouldn't be taught that at the first grade. And my thing is this, which a lot of people is not going to really understand, but you should understand it because this is what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is adultify children. Yep, I said it. They're trying to adultify children. Now, if anybody's been peeping out on YouTube or been figuring it out within the media sector, the media in general, I'm pretty sure you've seen a video of a 9-year-old boy that was stripping and twerking at a pride parade and at a strip club in Brooklyn. I've said it before on my channel. I was just trying to find a video, but if I do, I will make sure to tell you about that video because I'm not going to show it. But the thing about it is, this is the stuff that they're trying to do. There's been a lot of conversations with, I would assume, certain people in the LGBTQ community because I've seen it from them, and this is not a discrimination thing, but I did see it from them, where they actually had a conversation about grooming the children into the next generation, in which you had a lot of these YouTubers, these YouTube channels that consist of usually the Christian sector of YouTube, in which they tried to go to these places where they had drag queens reading to these children, and these Christians went ahead and told them what they're doing is wrong, and it's a sin, and all these different things. My idea is simple. Education system, when it comes to the sexual education of things, it should be taught by the parents first. Then when it comes in through the school system later, then it would be appropriate to have certain conversations with children. Of course, when we're trying to combat stuff like teen pregnancy, making sure that a boy and a girl is responsible when they have sex. But it's funny what they try to do, and they don't try to tell you it. But yes, so what I figure they're going to do, they're going to make this a mainstay and a topic of conversation within the next few years, the next 10 to 15 years, where they're going to try to implement these type of conversations in school education courses to children in the first grade. Shoot, if you really want to go there, they might do it in kindergarten. You never know. So I'm going to share my screen one more time just to show you the article that I read so you can get a frontal view of what I'm talking about here. This is the article, shout out to Fox News. Dalton parents enraged over masturbation videos for first graders. I'm paying $50,000 to these a-holes to tell my kid not to let her grandfather hug her when he sees her? Now, last fall, parents at the posh $55,000 per year Dalton school got wind of their first graders being taught sex education lessons that included masturbation. They complained to school administrators, but were told they had simply misinterpreted what Dalton's now notorious health and wellness educator, Justine Eng Fonte, who last month led a controversial and explicit porn literacy workshop at another elite prep school, was teaching. And before I continue, you see right there, it says porn literacy workshop. Now, explain to me why a child would even need to understand what porn is at the tender age between 6 and 8 years old. And that an educator like Justine Eng Fonte is one of those enablers to allow this to happen at another prep school. Would it be for first graders, second graders, third graders, fourth graders? What would it be for? Because why would that even be, why would that be a workshop that they would have to have for children who are young? Think about that. But after the Post's expose last week on the porn class, Dalton parents bombarded the school with more complaints about Fonte's curriculum, sources told the Post. The Post viewed video of a cartoon Fonte used in one of her sex ed classes for 6-year-olds, showing little kids talking about touching themselves for pleasure. Hey, how come sometimes my penis gets big sometimes and points in the air? Asks the little boy in the cartoon, leading to an explanation of what an erection is. I don't need to read this. You guys, you just seen it in the video, but I'm gonna get to the point. They are also taught lessons about consent. While one mother conceded that teaching the concept of consent can be valuable in protecting children from abuse, another said telling kids that their own parents or grandparents should not touch them without first asking for permission is extreme. Literally, parents are supposed to say to their kids, "May I hug you?" One parent said. And this is why it goes down that liberalism rabbit hole, and why they try to use all the talking points from liberals as it stands now that usually you see within the confines of feminism in the LGBTQ community, in which they try to say about consent, consent, consent. That is a little bit weird for an honest gesture, as long as it doesn't seem perverted, that now children have to be brought into the idea that and notice they said grandfather, they didn't say grandmother. See how they're protecting it? And now it's an all-out war on men. And this is why it's very important for men to understand why the battlefield is against you, because it's coded language. Why didn't they say grandmother? They automatically said grandfather. That's the ironic thing about this. Now let me continue. One mother said that another parent told her, "I'm paying $50,000 to these a-holes to tell my kid not to let their grandfather hug her when he sees her." Fonte's lessons for first graders also include subjects such as gender assigned at birth, I told you, gender identity, and gender expression. Now, to those who's listening, what do you think that comes from? It's automatically telling you right there. Kids have no less than 5 classes on gender identity. This is pure indoctrination. A Dalton mother said, this person should absolutely not be teaching children. Ironically, she teaches kids about consent, yet she has never gotten consent from parents about the sexually explicit and age-inappropriate material about transgender to first graders. We are furious. A third Dalton mother told the Post, "We were horrified to learn this was shown to our first grade 6 and 7-year-old kids without our knowledge or consent. But it's so hard to fight back because you'll get canceled and your child will suffer." That is true. The second Dalton mother said, "I'm not against all sex education, but it's not cool to keep parents in the dark about it." The parents on the condition of anonymity because they are afraid of retaliation. The second mom hit back at Dalton administrators who said are playing mind games with parents or not fessing up to what's really going on in classrooms. The school has said that only a small group of parents complained about Fonte's class last fall and that they misinterpreted the content. At the same time, however, the school quietly removed the video about kids touching themselves from the curriculum. We are not confused. We are in fact just seeing very clearly for the first time what a progressive education really means at Dalton, the mother said. The fact that the school then gaslit parents into thinking we are confused is abysmal. Fonte's work at the school is reportedly funded by a $450,000 grant given to Dalton in 2012 by hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman's evil person, Pershing Square's Foundation. Ackman's ex-wife, Karen, is on the Dalton Board of Trustees. Now you can read the rest of it. It's really not going to make no difference, but I just wanted to get to the whole entire point of this presentation of the birds and bees aspect, that it goes more over the heads of a lot of people. They just think that it's just some harmless class. That's not what it's about. It is about progressive education. And it's also about spreading liberalism more into these schools, into these children. Once they're able to use these prep schools as a stepping stone, yeah, they're going to bring it into the public school system. I've already seen it happen in colleges a lot. And this is what they're going to try to do. This is the future of the education of your children. And you need to be careful. Now, if you don't see a big deal with this, okay, fine. But other people do. And that's just all I have to say. I don't really agree with it. I don't believe in what it stands. I think it's actually a bad thing. But, I'm always about age specific. Now, if you're teaching this to 7th and 8th graders, there's a certain way of talking about it and having a sex education class that's appropriate. Teaching this to 6 to 7, 8-year-olds, no, that's just pushing a boundary. Peace.